John Waltman served as a Marine between 1987 and 1993, working as a mechanic and serving during Operation Desert Storm, also earning multiple awards and certificates, and his highest rank achieved was a Sergeant E5. Waltman was born in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, with his mother as a stay-at-home mom and his father as a Lancaster City police officer. In high school, Waltman looked for something that he could do with his life. He even said,
I could not afford college. Uh, Making pizzas didn't really, support me, I guess you would say. So I had to do something with my life.
Waltman turned his way towards a recruiter, and by then, joining the military was something he was already committed to. He left for his service August 23, 1987. Waltman enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, going to schooling called Motor T Mechanic, to serve the rest of his time as a diesel mechanic, working on Humvees, 2.5-ton and 5-ton trucks. The most difficult part to Waltman was the yelling and physical activity, but he has some memories of his drill instructor, Sergeant Carms. He explains,
These names being, 40 years out, but he was probably about I'm 5'11", and he was like half my size. And I mean, literally half my size. And he was one mean son of a gun. And he could really yell at you for being such a small man.
Waltman later explains the difficulties with separating from his parents.
I guess the separation from your parents. I mean, my parents were in Pennsylvania. I was out in California. It's not like I could fly back and see them anytime I wanted to. So I think it's the separation. I mean, as soon as I was 18, you're off and you're done. So like after 3 months of training, I got to see my parents for about 30 days, and then you're off for another year or two, and then before you can come back and see them. So I think that was...
Lately, there were both physical and mental aspects Waltman had to strive through being so young. His first duty was at 29 Palms, California. Waltman was a Lance Corporal at the time. He recalls the experience as...
it was basically you got into the shop, and they would give you some shop orders to do, which would be finding these vehicles and which one needed some preventative maintenance or repairs. So I was just kind of like an average worker at the time.
Waltman met a close friend at his first duty, stationed in 29 Palms. He recalls the unique story.
I mean, as I said, I was in 29 Palms. I met Troy. Actually, he was a driver, so he checked me in. And when I got checked in, it was funny because I got roomed with him then. And we were at the same motor pool, I guess you would say. So I did really create a bond with him. And then when I went overseas, he actually went over a month before me. And then he actually met me when I got off the plane when I went overseas. And unfortunately, he was stationed at another base over in Okinawa. But, on the weekends, we pretty much had to ourselves. So, we did a lot of hanging out together and sightseeing around Okinawa, Japan. And then, of course, he was always a month ahead of me, so he left a month. And then after I was done, I saw him a month later, and he was back at 29 Palms. And so was I. And as I said, it was just me and him created a nice bond, and it was the service was I was lucky, I guess you would say, to serve.
After his service in Okinawa and Saudi Arabia, Waltman returned to 29 Palms as a non-commissioned officer and a sergeant, meaning he was the one directing what needed to be done in the shop. During his time in Okinawa, Japan, and in Operation Desert Storm, Waltman worked to fix and maintain vehicles used by people in combat positions. During his time in these places, Waltman was with 2nd Battalion, 12th Marines, an artillery unit, so he spent his time maintaining the vehicles and guns for this unit. And later, after picking up a rank in Okinawa to be a non-commissioned officer, NCO, Waltman was in charge of deciding what needed to be done.
In Operation Desert Storm, Waltman also had to ensure the artillery personnel had what they needed to perform their task. Waltman recalls one day when he had to be guided through a minefield with no clear path in order to get a repaired gun to the artillery lines. He described the experience
as I said, I met somebody from the EOD, the Explosive Ordnance Division. They said, yeah, you can just follow me through. And so he took me back through, and the thing that I remember most is as I look across, they have vehicles going through, and of course they have wired fences and stuff there, so you could see the path through. And of course, I'm not in any kind of path or anything. I'm just following the guy in front of me. So it was kind of a little nerve-wracking, I guess you would say. There was no path, I was going through a minefield blind.
During personal time while he served, Waltman often went to see local cultural sites and did popular activities.
Well, when I was stationed out in California, we usually have the weekends off, and I was lucky enough to have a car. And so I was able to drive around California, and I got to see Los Angeles. I went to the aquarium. I went to Las Vegas. So I did. I made sure I seen the sights.
While stationed in Saudi Arabia for Desert Storm, Waltman recalls being kept busy all the time with orders, making ample time for recreational activities. After his years in the United States Marine Corps, Waltman went home on August 25, 1993. He brought home 2 certificates of accommodations, 2 Good Conduct Medals, 2 letters of appreciation, a National Defense Service Medal, Southwest Asian Service Medal, Combat Action Ribbon, a Kuwait Liberations Medal, and a Meritorious Unit Commendation. After a long drive across the U.S. after his service, Waltman's adjustment to civilian life was harsher than expected, being pushed back home with less preparation to work than he had thought. He recalls that it was nice to be home, but it was difficult to get a job after his service. His parents welcomed him home with pride, but then turned to questions of where will you work and what will you do now. Waltman realized that he would have to go back to school to get any higher employment, but did not end up doing so after being hired as a temporary worker and eventually a long-term employee. When asked if he ended up pursuing further education, Waltman's answer was,
No, I never did go back to school. As I said, I was lucky that I was hired as a temp at Dana Corporation, and then after 3 months they did hire me, and the pay was good and I had benefits, so I stayed with that job.
Waltman also stated that he had more discipline and drive for success in life than he did before his service. This new drive helped him to work hard and be successful in life after his service. The worldly lessons we can learn from Waltman's account of his service are greatly important and useful to anyone who hears his story. Waltman's main personal takeaways from his service were the drive and focus that military gave him to succeed in life. Waltman also provided some personal views and advice he gained from his service. Waltman advises to save money instead of spending it while in the military, but other than that, he says,
anybody can do it. If you have the will, you can get through it.
Waltman's views on war are,
I don't think war is a great thing. I guess sometimes you have to go to war, but it's not something that's I don't think anybody should want. It's I don't know how to say it, and it's horrible. Let's put it that way. You don't want to be in it. You don't want to be a part of it, and hopefully we do not go to any wars anymore. Hopefully we stay in peace.
After all of his experiences in the military, Waltman's story is told today by us in the hope that we can spread his lessons and time spent serving America. It is out of the bottom of our hearts that we must thank this brave man for his effort and service.